Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today let's talk about the new Orks Combat Patrol for 10th edition of Warhammer 40k. I know that I'm a little bit late with this Combat Patrol and actually it has been out for a while already, it's not that new anymore, but still I have been talking about all the combat patrols that have been coming out, so that's why I did not wanted to skip this one, because orcs are fun and of course I wanted to make my review about them. With that being said, let's take a look at the new Orks Combat Patrol for 10th edition. It follows a similar formula that for the rest of the combat patrols that we have been seeing. There's some exceptions of course, but usually we have one character plus 3 different units. If we buy this combat patrol, we are going to get one beast boss, then we are going to have 20 beasts Naga boys, and finally 4 Squeakhawk boys. Here I just want to mention that it's funny for me because these Squeakhawk boys, they used to be a unit of 3 in 9th edition, and the main one, it used to be a proper character. Now that's different, now it's a unit of 4. So it's funny because when I look at the picture of the combat patrol, for me the biggest or the main one kinda looks like the one that is mounted in the Squeakhawk. I mean, of course, in the second look, I look at this beast boss because he looks bigger and he's wearing all the things that he's wearing. But when I look at this image, my eyes go to the one that is riding the Squeakhawk. So that's something funny and I wanted to mention it. And as always, I have to mention that, of course, the best thing about this combat patrol is that if we decide to get it, we are going to get everything discounted rather than buying everything individually. But it is very important to mention that if that works if we want everything inside of this box. If we don't want everything and we still decide to get it, are we using that discount properly? I mean, are we saving money if we are buying things that we don't want? I just leave that to all of you. I would like to start talking about the things that I really like about this box. One of the things that I really like about this box is the miniature range, because all of these miniatures, they are like 3 years old maximum. This means that, I mean, they are not brand new, but we can consider them as a new or at least recent made miniatures by Games Workshop. I personally like to get new miniatures, or at least newer ones rather than the old ones. Like, for example, we can clearly see that the quality of Games Workshop miniatures has been improving over the years. So one miniature that was made this year is going to have like a better quality than one that was made 5 years ago. So that's why the more recent, the better quality, and that's something that is always welcome. And of course, by getting recent miniatures, we know that the refresh for them it's going to be much further into the future, so we can keep our army for more time, and that's nice. Something that I also like is the theme of the box, because this Combat Patrol has like a very specific theme. It's not just that they got several orc miniatures and they put them together. No, they decided to go into one theme, and that's not bad. Of course, it has downsides, I will talk about that later, but here we have all the perfect way to start a Beast Naga army. And this is just personal opinion, okay, but I like how they look. I mean, I like how these miniatures look. I'm not sure how great those kits are in terms of how monopose they are or how much you can make them customized, so I'm not sure about that. But for sure, it's like a nice selection of miniatures that we have there. And I was checking the Combat Patrol rules for this specific Combat Patrol, and I have to say that it kinda sounds like fun to play with this. So one day I expect to play against this Combat Patrol, because aside from that, we also know that playing against orcs is quite fun. So good things, we have discounted price for these miniatures. If we get the Combat Patrol, we have a nice range of miniatures, it's quite diverse, and I have to say that even if we get 20 Beast Naga boys. It's orcs. If we play orcs, we are going to have a lot of different orcs, so we are going to have like a lot of them, so getting 20 in this discounted way is not a bad thing. And aside from that, we have a nice range of miniatures that they are quite recent, and it's a good way to get them. And now let's talk about the bad things of this Combat Patrol, okay? Or at least the things that I dislike the most, okay? I mean, if we have to judge this Combat Patrol by itself and we compare it with the rest of the Combat Patrols that we have seen in 10th edition, it is not that bad, because the Orks Combat Patrol is following the same formula that we have been seeing, except for some exceptions. We have one character plus 3 units, and that's good. But we have to compare this Combat Patrol with the Orks Combat Patrol for 9th edition of Warhammer 40k. In that Combat Patrol we had the character, really good looking one. I love the look of this specific character, I think that he looks fantastic. And then we have 2 units of 10 boys, plus the Deft Koptas, plus the Deft Dread. Which means that in that Combat Patrol we had one character plus 4 different units. The price of the old Combat Patrol and the new one is exactly the same, which means that the savings right now are much worse compared with the previous Combat Patrol. And this is something that we have to mention, because of course the Ork Combat Patrol by itself, it suffered a huge downgrade because of this. Still, it will depend on how bad it is compared. If someone right now will prefer to have the previous miniatures or the newest ones, so that's something that I cannot decide for you, so of course you will decide if the previous one was much better or the new one is nicer, so of course that's up to you to decide. But actually, for me, the biggest downside of this specific Combat Patrol is not that it's a little bit worse than the previous one, because I can understand that the new one is following the same formula as the rest of the Combat Patrols. So, I have to say that for me the main issue is that this Combat Patrol is limiting you. In terms of, we have the Orks Codex. And there we have 6 different ways to play Orks, because Orks, they have a really nice range of miniatures, quite diverse, and we can do different things with them. It's like we can play Orks in different ways, and among those 6 detachments there's one that is specific for the Beast Naga boys, and of course this box is only Beast Naga boys. So with this being said, we have to ask ourselves this question: is this the best possible way to start an Ork army in 10th edition of Warhammer 40k? I mean, it's a really good way to start an Ork army, but as I said, there's different ways to play Orks, and maybe we don't want to play Beast Naga boys. It is true that we can get this Combat Patrol and it's going to be 400 something points, so we still need to have 3/4 of the list. So we will have to get more miniatures, and then we can get things that maybe we like more if we don't want to focus into the Beast Naga boys. But what if someone doesn't want to start a Beast Naga army and they just prefer the regular boys as the infantry, and maybe they want to build the army into different things than the Beast Nagas? As I said, we can use these miniatures in every Ork list, because of course they have abilities, so they can do things by themselves and they can be good as well. For example, the Squeakhawk boys, I think that they are quite nice in game. At least I hate them. I mean, I hate to play against them because they are quite tough most of the time, and usually you have to use more things that you would like to get rid of them. So yes, they can be very annoying, and that's why I don't like them that much, because they can really do things like hold their position for a long time and endure a lot. They have these feel no pains, and they can be not the nicest. Anyway, I don't want to start talking, because if not this video is going to be super long, but that's my main issue with the box. I mean, it's quite nice, the range of miniatures is nice, but still, as I said, is this the best way to start an Ork army? I'm not sure about that, and I do like the contents of this box. So here we have a super specific Combat Patrol, probably the most specific one that we have seen so far, and that has a good side and also a bad side, of course, so that's up to you, Ork player. And with this being said, I would like to know your opinion, so this is a perfect moment for you to let me know in the comments what you think about the new Orks Combat Patrol. My final opinion and review about this box is that it's not a bad Combat Patrol. If we want everything inside of this Combat Patrol, it's perfect, and if we want to start an Ork army, it's an okay start, especially if we want to focus into the Beast Naga boys. But if we don't want to have like a full army of Beast Nagas, because maybe we don't like the kill rate, or we don't like this kind of big miniatures, so it's okay, we can omit this box, but if we get it into our army, it can fill a purpose, and these miniatures, as they have abilities by themselves, they can work, we can have them, they can do things, they can screen, they can score objectives, they can do things, so it's not that bad even if we don't want to focus the army into this specific type of miniatures. So the best thing, the miniatures are quite recent, there's a nice and diverse range of miniatures in the box, even if they are only Beast Nagas, and the biggest downside is that if we compare this Combat Patrol with the previous one, it's not the best one, and of course it's very focused into... It has a very specific theme. So with all of this being said, I just wanted to share my opinion, so this is the end of the video, and as usual, if you're still here, please consider giving me a like and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.